friends, and welcome back to Catapedia. My name is Kat and I'm a filmmaker and journalist. If you watched some of my recent videos, you may have gathered that I'm currently based in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a city that has consistently appeared on all those most expensive cities to live in lists. And I thought, you know what, why don't I take you guys around and show you the numbers of how much it really costs to live in this city. Let's go. Oh, I need to take my mask. We can't talk about Hong Kong without talking about the rent. There are a lot of property agencies, either for buying properties or for renting, and we're looking at renting. Prices do vary quite a lot. The ones you can see here are all based on Hong Kong Island, and these are a little bit more expensive. Other things that affect the price other than location would also be the height, so the higher your flat usually, the more people like it. What your view is. People prefer the sea view and then mountain view, and then what they don't really like are maybe views of the streets and, you know, views of other apartment buildings, which I've definitely had to deal with in New York. You also have options of whether to live alone or if you share it would be cheaper. You can get it for even less if you live in a co-living space, which is a thing. On average, I'd say it'd be around 15k if you want to live comfortably as a single person. If you're sharing, it'd be around 10k. So for now, let's consider it as 10k. Next up, let's look at something that's unavoidable. General bills. Internet usually averages at around 200 Hong Kong dollars. They charge it in a strange way where it's less one month and then it's more the other month, and they keep on doing that. No idea why, but it averages to 200. Electricity is really expensive during the summer because of the use of air conditioning, but it's pretty cheap during the winter, so it averages to be around about 150 Hong Kong dollars per person. Gas is 200 Hong Kong dollars a month, and that would end up being 100 Hong Kong dollars per person. And water, it's very strange. I'm not going to pretend I know what all of these numbers mean, but we get billed every 4 months and it ends up being around 25 Hong Kong dollars per person per month. And for a reasonable phone plan, I've found a few, and if you want to have enough internet, you can probably get away with something that's around 100, 150 Hong Kong dollars a month. Unfortunately, stuff does break. So let's allocate around 600 Hong Kong dollars to fixing stuff, because that's how much it costs for me to change a lock and also how much it costs me to fix a broken drain. Let's talk about shopping, and I mean grocery shopping. The most common grocery stores are places like Welcome and Park and Shop, and I would say that the prices of fruit and vegetables are quite reasonable. So let's see. In a week, I'd probably spend around 30 Hong Kong dollars on vegetables, 50 Hong Kong dollars on fruits. What I try to do is put the cost per week of whatever it is I'm buying on the left side and then the cumulative per weekly cost on the right. And then I sometimes would buy some tofu, that's 10 Hong Kong dollars a week. I thought it would be easier if I split it up into weekly payments and then multiplied it for the month. And then maybe some frozen seafood. Frozen seafood that comes to around 20 Hong Kong dollars on average a week. And maybe some frozen meats, so on a weekly average it would be around 30 Hong Kong dollars. And maybe there's a special occasion or you want some nicer meats, maybe you're doing a home hot pot, so that would be around 40 Hong Kong dollars for one pack. Oh, these are the deli meats. I really miss them. I used to eat deli meats with sandwiches or in a salad all the time when I lived in New York, but I've had to give that up because I think a few slices of meat should not cost 70 Hong Kong dollars. And yogurt. 200 Hong Kong dollars a week on yogurt. I know, it's a luxury. And when yogurt equals luxury, you start wondering, what is life? Bread. The bread that you can get in the supermarket is relatively cheap, but the taste is very so-so. If you want good quality bread, you can go to places like this, but it ends up costing 26, 28, maybe even 30 Hong Kong dollars for half a loaf, and that's not cheap. So no sourdough bread for us. At least not always. Some people might want to buy some jam, and the imported ones are usually more expensive. And of course there's also peanut butter. Same thing goes. If it's imported, it'll be more expensive. Got stopped. Oopsie. Eggs. Eggs always really confuse me. Some of them can cost 50 plus Hong Kong dollars a pack, maybe even 60, 70, and some of them are 19, 20 Hong Kong dollars. So I just put in around 20 Hong Kong dollars for the eggs. Cheese. If you love cheese, this is not going to be easy because cheese is so expensive here. If it's on sale, and when it is, I always get some, it ends up being around about 30 Hong Kong dollars a week. Soy milk is also not cheap if you want to get imported brands. The cereal, imported ones are more expensive. I don't really get it, so I'm not going to include it in the cart. And this is a more expensive shop. As you can see, the prices are slightly marked up, maybe by 10-20%. I just thought it would be kind of interesting to compare. Oh, and these fruits? oh boy, if we're talking about imported fruits, dude, 150 plus Hong Kong dollars for 2 peaches? I don't know. There must be people who buy it because they keep on restocking, but that is a pretty big figure for a few bites of fruit. Yeah, 40 Hong Kong dollars for that? And this, how much is this? Like 60? For 2 pairs? More cheeses and of course hummus, which I got so used to eating when I was back in the States, but for 50 plus Hong Kong dollars, 60 Hong Kong dollars a tub, oof. And more cheese. These are super yummy, but kind of hard to get every week if you want to stay within a budget. And teas. Okay, I am British. I cannot do without tea. So we've managed to accumulate quite a nice collection here. Tee. Dun dun dun, toilet roll. One cannot do without toilet roll. Same goes for personal hygiene. You need this stuff. You need to rinse your mouth, brush your teeth. That comes to probably 10 Hong Kong dollars a week. And you've got your cleaning supplies, which with COVID, people have been buying more of. You've got your toilet cleaners, you've got your wipes, you've got all the necessities for trying to get rid of any germs that you get inside the house. Along with detergent stuff, got to wear your clothes clean, and of course, you've got to have some body wash. Personal hygiene is quite important, you know. I've probably allocated around 20 Hong Kong dollars a week for this. That should cover it, right? That should cover body wash and shampoos and all the stuff that you need in your shower. And then masks. So per week, probably 15 Hong Kong dollars. And with deliveries, let's say you get it one time a week at 150 Hong Kong dollars. Transport, because you know, you've got to get to places, haven't you? In Hong Kong, there are so many public transport options. The trams come at around $2.60 per trip. Big buses can vary between 4 to 80 depending on the distance. Mini buses, the green ones, are 6 to 10, again depending on the distance. And the MTR, the most used transport, is at around 10 Hong Kong dollars per trip. Of course, if you're further away, it'll be more. And taxis, I'd average around 100 Hong Kong dollars. I think it's safe to assume that anyone living in Hong Kong would probably take 2 MTR trips a day and maybe at least 3 taxi trips a month. Hobbies, things that keep us interesting. This can be anything. It could be exercise, it could be hiking, it could be, I don't know, I'm kind of running out of ideas here, maybe golfing, stuff like that. For some people, it would include going to the gym. On average, I've found reasonable gym prices at around 600 Hong Kong dollars. There are way more expensive ones, but those are a little bit out of reach for the average person. Most people want a social life, and to do that, well, you do kind of have to pay. So here are some examples of how much things on the menus here cost, and you can see that again, it varies so much. If you're eating at a local restaurant, it could be super cheap. If you're eating at more foreign places, and especially if you're eating things like sushi, it's going to add up. Going out for brunch at least once a week is a very usual thing to do here. So I'd account for about 5 brunches a week, and 200 is quite normal. Some drinks and all that, and here we are. Personal entertainment, because who doesn't like to have a Netflix going on in the evening or play a game? You've got to have this stuff. So I've allocated around 500 Hong Kong dollars for this. And then most importantly, your health. Maybe you need a trip to the doctors, maybe you need to buy some steroid creams, maybe you need to buy some personal care items. These are all really important things to factor in. And the imported ones are, as usual, a little bit more expensive, but manageable. So I would say allocate around 700 Hong Kong dollars per month for this. And that brings our total to, around about 19,000. And I think you can plus minus maybe 1,000 here or there, depending on what your personal habits are. Now, of course, there is an interesting thing that is, how does this compare to the salaries? Well, that's another video entirely. As you can see, it comes to around about 19,000. Of course, there are ways that you can live cheaper, and you can also live a much more expensive life. But what I wanted to show was, something somewhere in the middle, an average. If you've got an average job and average rent, where you're not completely squished, but you're also not living a life of luxury, how much it would cost. What are your thoughts? What's it like in your city? Do you find this to be an expensive number or somewhat reasonable? Let me know in the comments below. As always, stay safe and healthy. And remember to pop the like button if you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye!